So you get that big, official-looking letter from the patent office, and your heart just sinks. It can feel like you've hit a brick wall. But what if I told you that rejection is actually an opportunity in disguise? Today, we're going to break down how to turn an office action from a setback into a strategic move that makes your invention even stronger.
Okay, so there it is, that envelope from the USPTO. It's totally normal to feel a knot in your stomach when you see it, but the single most important thing you can do right now is take a deep breath and don't panic.
You've got to understand, this letter is almost never a final no. Think of it this way. It's not a rejection, it's an invitation to start a conversation. The patent examiner is basically saying, hey, I need you to clarify a few things. This is your moment to make your case even more compelling.
Now, to respond effectively, we first have to know exactly what we're looking at. So let's start by decoding this thing, figuring out what an office action really is, and just as important, what it isn't.
So what is it really? Well, at its heart, an office action is just an official note from the examiner who reviewed your application. They've got some questions, maybe they think your claims are a little unclear, or they found some prior art. That's just another way of saying existing inventions that's kind of similar. It could even be about simple formatting stuff.
And these communications usually come in two flavors. First, you've got the non-final office action. This is round one. It's your best shot to make amendments and argue your points. Now, if your response doesn't quite get you all the way there, you might get a final office action. Sounds scary, I know, but it doesn't mean it's over. Not by a long shot. It just means we need to be a little more strategic with our next move.
All right, we've decoded the message. Now for the most important part, how to actually craft a persuasive response. This is your game plan, your blueprint for turning this whole conversation around.
A really powerful response stands on 5 pillars. First, you have to clarify your claims. Second, you've got to show what makes your invention different. Third, back it all up with solid evidence. Fourth, you need to address every single little formality the examiner mentioned. And finally, keep the tone professional and respectful. It's a negotiation, not a fight.
Okay, this right here, this is the absolute heart of your argument. You need to prove that your invention is novel, new, and non-obvious, meaning it's a real inventive leap. How do you do that? By pointing to the specific, unique features and technical improvements that make your invention stand out from whatever prior art the examiner cited.
And honestly, a simple chart like this can be your secret weapon. Putting your invention side by side with the prior art makes your points crystal clear. Look here, their invention uses standard plastic. Mine uses a recycled polymer blend. Theirs has disposable batteries, mine has a solar recharging one. You see? It makes it incredibly easy for the examiner to see exactly why yours is different and better.
Look, arguments are great, but you know what's undeniable? Cold, hard evidence. You can supercharge your response by proving your claims. Don't just say it's more efficient, show it with experimental data. Include detailed technical diagrams, maybe even get an expert declaration. Numbers are your friend. Showing it's, say, 30% more efficient is way more powerful than just saying it's better. Okay, so building a strong response is one thing. But what if you're in a hurry? Is there any way to speed this whole thing up? Well, yeah, there actually are a few pro tips that can make a huge difference.
Here's a big one, a strategy that's so powerful but often gets overlooked. Did you know that you can actually pick up the phone and talk directly to the person who's reviewing your application?
Seriously, scheduling an examiner interview can be a total game changer. Instead of the slow back and forth in writing, you can clear up any confusion in minutes. You can even brainstorm potential fixes with them in real time. It's a fantastic way to understand their perspective and build a collaborative, positive relationship that can save you months of waiting.
And there's even a special program for this, called the Applicant Initiated Interview Pilot Program. Let's just call it AIIP. This program lets you request that interview before you even file your written response. Imagine getting that clarity up front. It helps you craft a response that nails it on the very first try.
But hey, while we're talking about smart moves, let's cover the traps you absolutely have to avoid. There are 3 big pitfalls that can really derail your application. First, missing your deadline. That's a huge no-no. It can get your application abandoned. Second, sending an incomplete response. You have to address every single point the examiner makes. And third, ignoring their guidance. They often drop hints about what they're looking for, so pay close attention.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. This whole process, it's not just about getting past this one little hurdle. It's about forging a patent that's stronger, tougher, and way more valuable in the long run.
I want you to think of every office action like a stress test for your invention. By answering all of the examiner's tough questions, you are literally making your patent stronger. The final patent that comes out of this process is going to be more specific, more defensible, and just plain better than what you started with.
And why does that matter so much? Well, the long-term payoff is huge. A strong, well-vetted patent can dramatically increase your company's value. It makes investors and partners sit up and take notice. It becomes a shield that deters competitors, and if you ever end up in a legal fight, it's your best defense. This isn't a hassle, it's an investment.
So, the next time you see that envelope from the USPTO, I want you to remember this. Don't see a roadblock, see a stepping stone. It's an invitation to build something better, something stronger. The only question left is, how are you going to turn this challenge into your competitive advantage?